Hello there, and welcome back to the Sleepy Universe channel. Tonight, we are leaving the solid ground behind. We are leaving the blue oceans of Earth and the red deserts of Mars. We are traveling outward, past the asteroid belt, into the deep, cold reaches of the outer solar system. We are going to visit a world that looks like it was designed by a jeweler. A world of gold, ice, and impossible geometry. We are going to Saturn. So, lie back and let your body feel heavy. Imagine you are floating in zero gravity, weightless and free. The noise of the inner solar system is fading away. The sun is shrinking behind us. We are drifting toward the Lord of the Rings, the golden star. To the naked eye on Earth, Saturn is just a bright, yellowish star. It moves slowly across the night sky, so slowly that the ancients called it Kronos, the keeper of time. It takes 29 Earth years to make just one trip around the sun. It is a patient traveler. But as we get closer, that point of light resolves into a disk. And then the disk reveals its secret, the first sight. There's a moment in every space traveler's life that changes them forever. The first time they see Saturn through a window. It looks fake. It looks too perfect to be real. A giant butterscotch-colored sphere suspended in the velvet black, surrounded by a razor-thin, shining halo. It glows with a soft, ethereal light. It is arguably the most beautiful object in the known universe. The gas giant. Saturn is massive. You could fit 700 Earths inside it. But unlike Earth, it has no surface to stand on. It is a gas giant. It is made almost entirely of hydrogen and helium, the same stuff as the sun. If you tried to land on it, you would simply sink. You would fall through endless layers of golden clouds, deeper and deeper, until the pressure crushed you. It is a world of atmosphere, a world without a floor. The fluffy planet. Despite its massive size, Saturn is incredibly light. It is the fluffiest planet in the solar system. Its density is so low that it is actually lighter than water. If you could build a bathtub big enough to hold it, Saturn would float like a rubber duck. This lightness gives it a sense of buoyancy. It doesn't look heavy in the sky. It looks like a balloon, expanding against the vacuum. The bands of gold. As we drift closer, we can see the texture of the planet. It is striped. Bands of pale yellow, deep gold, and soft beige wrap around the globe horizontally. These are high-speed winds. The weather on Saturn is fierce, but from a distance, it looks like combed silk. The clouds are made of ammonia crystals, which reflect the sunlight in these warm, calming tones. It is a monochrome masterpiece, painted in shades of harvest wheat and honey. The flattened sphere. You might notice something strange about its shape. Saturn is not a perfect circle. It is squashed. It spins incredibly fast. A day on Saturn lasts only 10.5 hours. Because of this rapid rotation and its fluffy composition, the equator bulges out. It looks like a ball that someone is gently pressing down on from the top and bottom. It is visibly influenced by the physics of its own spin. The dim sun. Out here, 1.4 billion kilometers from home, the sun is just a bright, cold spotlight. It is 10 times dimmer than it is on Earth. The light is weak. It casts long, dramatic shadows. The temperature at the cloud tops is 170 degrees Celsius. It is a world of deep freeze, but this cold preserves the beauty. Everything here moves in slow motion, frozen in a state of grace. The shadow of the rings. As we float above the sunlit side of the planet, we see something breathtaking. Across the golden cloud tops, there is a series of dark, curved lines. They look like elegant brushstrokes. These are the shadows of the rings. The rings are blocking the sunlight, casting their silhouette onto the planet below. It is a constant eclipse, a play of light and dark that moves slowly across the eye face of the giant. The silence of orbit. There is no sound here. The roaring winds of Saturn are trapped beneath the vacuum. We are floating in absolute silence, watching the giant turn. It is hypnotic. The sheer scale of it forces your brain to stop worrying about small things. In the face of a gas giant, everything else seems insignificant. Preparing for the halo, we have admired the planet. We have seen the golden clouds. But the true magic of Saturn lies not in the sphere, but in the crown it wears. We are about to change our trajectory. We are going to fly right up to the edge of the most famous structure in space. We are going to enter the rings. We leave the golden atmosphere of the planet. We fire our thrusters gently and drift outward, away from the cloud tops. We are approaching the edge of the halo. From Earth, through a telescope, the rings look solid. They look like a flat, perfect sheet of plastic or metal. But as we get closer, that illusion shatters. The solid surface dissolves. It breaks apart into sparkles. We are realizing the truth. The rings are not a solid object. They are a swarm. The illusion of solidity. Imagine a snowstorm frozen in time and flattened into a disk. That is what you are looking at. We are now hovering just a few kilometers above the ring plane. Below us stretches an endless field of white debris. It is a blizzard in a vacuum. Billions upon billions of icy particles, all orbiting Saturn together, shoulder to shoulder. From a distance, they blend into a smooth sheet. Up close, they are a chaotic, glittering mosaic. Pure water. What are they made of? It is not rock. It is not metal. It is ice. Almost pure water ice. 99.9% of the rings is just frozen water, the same stuff you have in your freezer. This is why they are so bright. They reflect the sunlight like a mirror. Saturn is surrounded by the shattered remains of ancient comets, or perhaps a moon that wandered too close and was torn apart by gravity. It is a celestial graveyard made of diamonds, the size of the grains. As we drift right into the rings, we see the individual pieces. Some are tiny, specks of dust, like flour. Some are the size of marbles or golf balls. Some are the size of a bus. And rarely, looming in the distance, you might see a moonlet the size of a mountain, drifting silently through the crowd. But mostly, it is snowball-sized chunks. It feels manageable. It feels surprisingly delicate. The razor's edge. The most mind-bending fact about the rings is how thin they are. They are 280,000 kilometers wide, but in many places, they are only 10 meters thick. That is the height of a 2-story house. If you made a scale model of Saturn's rings out of a sheet of paper, the paper would be too thick. They are razor thin. It is a sheet of silk stretched across the dark. If you looked at them edge on, they would almost disappear completely. The traffic flow. Everything is moving, but it is not moving at the same speed. The particles closest to Saturn are racing around the planet at breakneck speeds to fight the strong gravity. The particles further out are drifting lazily. This difference in speed creates a shearing effect. It is like a multi-lane highway where every lane is moving at a slightly different pace. But because there is no air resistance, there is no sound of wind, just a silent, sliding motion, gentle collisions. In this crowded highway, the ice chunks bump into each other constantly. But these are not violent crashes. Because they are all moving in the same direction, they touch gently. They nudge. They rub shoulders. It is like a slow motion dance. Sometimes the particles stick together to form loose clumps. Then a tidal force pulls them apart again. The rings are constantly clustering and breaking, breathing in and out. The Cassini division. We drift over a massive gap in the rings, a black canyon in the white ice. This is the Cassini division. It looks empty, but it is actually just less dense. It is a zone cleared out by the gravity of a distant moon, Mimas. The moon pulls on the particles in this area, kicking them out of line, creating a harmonic resonance. It is the physics of music applied to ice. The gap is the silence between the notes. Sparkles in the dark. The visual beauty here is overwhelming. The sun reflects off the flat faces of the ice crystals. As the particles tumble, they flash. Blink, blink, blink. It looks like a sea of glitter. Against the pitch black of deep space, the contrast is absolute. White and black, light and dark. There is no gray here. The shadows on the ice. Sometimes we pass through the shadow of the planet. The sun disappears behind Saturn. The rings go dark. But they are not pitch black. They are dimly lit by the Saturn shine, the sunlight reflecting off the planet's clouds back onto the rings. In this twilight, the ice turns a ghostly blue. It is the coldest time. The temperature drops even further. The ice contracts. Then, as we emerge back into the sunlight, the sea catches fire again. The spokes. Occasionally, strange shadows appear on the rings. Dark, wedge-shaped marks that rotate with the planet. Astronomers call them spokes. They are clouds of microscopic dust lifted away from the rings by static electricity. They are like ghosts haunting the machine, appearing and disappearing without warning. They remind us that this system is electrically alive, drifting with the current. Let yourself float here for a moment. You are just another particle of ice. You are weightless. You are bright. You are part of the great circle. There is no destination. There is only the orbit around and around, forever falling around the golden planet, held in the perfect balance between gravity and speed. Transition. We have swum in the sea of ice. We have seen the chaos of the particles. But there is something keeping this chaos in order. There are guardians hiding in the gaps. In the next chapter, we will meet the shepherd moons. We are drifting through the endless field of glittering ice. It feels chaotic, billions of particles tumbling in the dark. But as we look closer, we notice something strange. The rings are not just a messy cloud. They are organized. They have sharp edges. They have clean, black gaps that look like grooves on a vinyl record. What is keeping these lanes clear? Why doesn't the ice just drift into the empty spaces? We are about to meet the caretakers. We are about to meet the shepherds, the guardians. Hidden among the ice, camouflaged by their size, are tiny moons. These are not like our moon. They are small. Some are only a few kilometers across. They are jagged, potato-shaped lumps of rock and ice. But they have a very important job. Their gravity acts like an invisible fence. As they orbit, they push and pull the ring particles, keeping them in line. They herd the ice just like a sheepdog herds a flock. They are the reason the rings are beautiful and not just a mess. Pan, the walnut. Let's drift into the Enke Gap, a wide, empty highway inside the bright A-ring. Sitting right in the middle of this gap is a moon called Pan. It looks bizarre. It is shaped exactly like a walnut or a flying saucer. It has a flat ridge running around its equator. This ridge was formed by Pan catching stray ice particles over millions of years. As Pan orbits, it clears the lane. Any piece of ice that drifts into its path is either flung away or consumed. Pan travels alone in its private lane, a lonely king of the gap. Daphnis, the wave maker. Further out, in the narrower Keeler Gap, lives another moon, Daphnis. It is tiny, just 8 kilometers wide, but it is an artist as Daphnis orbits. Its gravity tugs on the edges of the gap. It pulls the ice particles up and down. This creates vertical waves in the rings. Imagine a boat moving through calm water, leaving a wake behind it. Daphnis leaves a wake in the ice. These waves rise kilometers high, casting long, jagged shadows across the flat rings. It is the only place in the solar system where rock creates waves in ice. The sharp edges. Look at the outer edge of the main B ring. It is razor sharp. The density of particles drops from wall of ice to empty space in a matter of meters. This sharpness is unnatural. It is maintained by a moon called Mimas, the Death Star moon. Its gravity strikes a resonance with the particles at this specific distance, forcing them back. It creates a boundary that no particle can cross. It is an invisible wall of math. Prometheus and Pandora. On the very outer edge of the main ring system lies the thin, twisted F ring. This ring is guarded by 2 moons working as a team, Prometheus and Pandora. Prometheus orbits on the inside, Pandora on the outside. They sandwich the ring between them. When the ring particles try to drift out, Pandora pushes them back. When they drift in, Prometheus pushes them out. They are constantly shepherding the flock, squeezing the ring into a tight, bright line. The thief. Prometheus is a bit of a thief. Every time it gets close to the F ring, in its orbit, its gravity drags a streamer of material away from the ring. It looks like a dark, ghostly hand reaching into the bright stream of ice. These streamers create kinks and knots in the ring. It is a dynamic, messy interaction, a constant tug of war between the moon and the dust. The propellers. There are thousands of even smaller moonlets hidden in the dense bands, too small for us to see directly. We only know they are there because of the marks they leave. They create propeller-shaped disturbances in the ice. Like a boat engine churning the water, these invisible moonlets spin the ice around them. We have named them after aviators: Earhart, Blériot, Santos Dumont. They are the ghost fleet of the rings. The constant nudge. It is peaceful to watch this. It reminds us that nature is self-correcting. The chaos of the ice is tamed by the gentle gravity of the moons. A nudge here, a pull there. It is a system in perfect balance. For millions of years, these tiny rocks have been running their laps, keeping the rings perfectly groomed. Gravity as a sculptor. We usually think of gravity as a force that just makes things fall. But here, gravity is a sculptor. It carves gaps. It raises waves. It twists braids. It builds ridges. The rings are a canvas, and the shepherd moons are the brushes. Transition. We have seen the ice, and we have seen the moons that guide it. But what happens when the ice loses the battle? What happens when gravity wins completely? We are going to look down. We are going to watch the rings slowly dying. We are going to witness the ring rain. We drift away from the tiny shepherd moons. We look back at the magnificent, glittering expanse of the rings. They look eternal. They look like a permanent monument built of diamond and ice. But looks can be deceiving. In the cosmos, nothing lasts forever. Not even this. As we float here in the silence, we are witnessing a very slow, very beautiful act of destruction. Saturn is eating its own rings. The magnetic web. Saturn is a giant magnet. Invisible lines of magnetic force loop out from the North Pole, curve through space, and dive back into the South Pole. These lines pass right through the rings. Usually, the ice ignores them. Ice is neutral, but the sun is watching. Ultraviolet light from the distant sun hits the tiny grains of ice. It knocks electrons off them. It gives them an electric charge. The trap. Suddenly, the ice is no longer free. It is charged. It can feel the magnetic field. It is grabbed by the invisible lines of force. Gravity is pulling it down toward the planet. And now, the magnetic field gives it a highway. The balance is broken. The tiny charged particles are lifted out of the ring plane. They begin to spiral. The downpour. They fall. Millions of tons of dusty ice are pulled out of the rings every year. They travel along the magnetic field lines, curving through the vacuum, racing toward the planet's atmosphere. It is a ghostly, silent rain. It falls into the upper clouds of Saturn at high latitudes. It is not a rain of liquid water, but a rain of electrified dust. The burn. When this ring rain hits the top of Saturn's atmosphere, it is moving at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. It doesn't splash. It burns. The friction vaporizes the ice instantly. It chemically changes the upper atmosphere, stripping away the haze, leaving dark bands where the rain falls hardest. The rings are painting the planet with their own ashes. The rate of decay. How fast is this happening? It is terrifyingly fast in geological terms. Every half hour, enough water to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool drains out of the rings and falls onto the planet. The rings are bleeding out. They are losing mass every second of every day. The beautiful halo is slowly being erased. A temporary jewel. This tells us something profound. The rings are young. For a long time, astronomers thought the rings were as old as the solar system, 4.5 billion years, but the rain tells a different story. The rings might be only 100 million years old. That sounds like a long time, but it is nothing. It means that when the dinosaurs walked the Earth, there might not have been any rings around Saturn. If a T-Rex had a telescope, it might have seen a boring, beige planet. We are incredibly lucky. We evolved in the brief window of time when Saturn is wearing its crown, the future view. And it means that in the future, they will be gone. In another 100 million years, maybe less, the rings will fade. The bright, icy C ring will vanish first, then the B ring, then the A ring. Saturn will eventually look like Jupiter, a striped giant with only thin, dark, dusty rings that are barely visible. Future civilizations will look at our photos and wonder what it was like to see the glory of the ice, the beauty of impermanence. There is a specific Japanese word for this, mono no aware, the pathos of things, the gentle sadness of knowing that beautiful things are temporary. The cherry blossom is beautiful because it falls. The rings are beautiful because they are dying. They are a fleeting cosmic event, a splash of brilliance before the darkness returns. The Enceladus feed. But there is one ring that fights back. One ring that is being replenished. The E-ring, a faint, misty outer ring, is being fed by something. It is not dying. It is breathing. To understand why, we must look away from the planet and toward one of the bright points of light orbiting in the distance. We must visit the source. Transition. We turn our back on the raining ice. We fire our engines and head outward into the deeper dark. We are going to a small, white moon that looks like a snowball. It is cracking open. It is spraying water into space. We are going to Enceladus. We leave the dying main rings behind. We drift outward past the orbit of Mimas, past the orbit of Tethys. Ahead of us shines a small, perfect sphere. It is blindingly bright. It reflects almost 100% of the sunlight that hits it. It is the most reflective object in the solar system. we are approaching Enceladus. It looks innocent, a frozen snowball tumbling in the dark, but as we get closer, we realize this is not a dead world. It is active. It is breathing. The white desert. We descend toward the surface. We land on a plain of pure, white ice. It is not like the hard, dirty ice of a city street. It is fresh powder. Enceladus is constantly coating itself in new snow. The surface is pristine. There are very few craters here, which tells us the surface is young. It is constantly being resurfaced, smoothed over by a process coming from within. It is a winter wonderland that has remained frozen for billions of years. The tiger stripes. We travel to the South Pole. Here, the landscape changes. The smooth white plains are broken by deep, jagged fractures. There are 4 massive cracks running parallel to each other, each about 130 kilometers long. Astronomers call them the tiger stripes. They are not white. They are stained a pale, minty green or blue by organic chemicals. They look like claw marks left by a cosmic beast. And they are warm, while the rest of the moon is 200 degrees Celsius. These cracks are glowing with heat. The geysers. Suddenly, the ground shakes. A hiss cuts through the vacuum, or it would if there were air to carry the sound. From the depths of the tiger stripes, a jet of material shoots upward. It is not lava. It is water. Enceladus is a cryovolcanic world. Dozens of geysers erupt simultaneously, blasting plumes of water vapor, ice crystals, and simple organic molecules hundreds of kilometers into space. It is a fountain in the void. The hidden ocean. Where does this water come from? For a long time, we thought Enceladus was solid ice all the way through. But the geysers tell us different story. Beneath this frozen crust, there is a global ocean. A layer of liquid, salty water wraps around the entire rocky core. It is kept liquid by the massive gravity of Saturn, which stretches and squeezes the little moon as it orbits, generating friction and heat deep inside. Enceladus is a warm heart wrapped in a cold shell, feeding the ring. Most of the ice from the geysers falls back to the surface as so, but the lightest particles, the finest mist, escape the moon's weak gravity. They float away into space to orbit around Saturn. This is the secret of the E-ring. This vast, ghostly outer ring is made entirely of the breath of Enceladus. The moon is constantly replenishing it. While the main rings are dying, the E-ring is being born anew every day. The taste of the spray. In 2015, the Cassini spacecraft did something daring. It flew right through one of these plumes. It tasted the spray. Its sensors detected salt. It detected silica. It detected organic compounds. This means the water down there is in contact with rock. It means there are hydrothermal vents on the sea floor, chimneys of hot, mineral-rich water pumping nutrients into the ocean. The cradle of life. On Earth, hydrothermal vents are teeming with life. Crabs, tube worms, bacteria. They thrive in the dark, warm water, far from the sun. The implications are staggering. Enceladus has water. It has heat. It has food. It is quite possibly the most likely place in the solar system to find alien life. Not green men, but perhaps simple microbes swimming in the dark ocean beneath the ice, completely unaware of the universe above. The quiet snow. We stand near the geysers, watching the ice crystals drift upward. It is a peaceful violence, a silent eruption. The snow falls gently around us, burying our footprints in seconds. We are standing on the shell of a hidden world, separated from a potential ecosystem by only a few kilometers of ice. Looking up, we look up from the surface. Saturn hangs in the sky, massive and golden. It fills the view. We can see the thin line of the rings edge on. It is a view of terrifying beauty. But we cannot stay. There is one more world we must visit. A world that is not white, but orange. A world where the rain is not water, but fuel. Transition. We lift off from the white snow. No. We fly past the misty E-ring. We are heading toward the largest moon of all. A giant shrouded in thick, smoggy clouds. We are going to Titan. We leave the sparkling white purity of Enceladus. We travel deeper into Saturn's gravity well. Looming ahead of us is a moon that doesn't look like a moon at all. It looks like a planet. It is bigger than Mercury. It is huge, round, and completely hidden behind a thick, fuzzy blanket of orange clouds. This is Titan. It is the only moon in the solar system with a dense atmosphere. It is a world of mystery, wrapped in a heavy, opaque smog that hid its surface for centuries. The descent. To see the surface, we must fall. We enter the atmosphere. Unlike the thin wisps of air on Mars, Titan's atmosphere is thick. It is 4 times denser than Earth's. As we descend, the orange haze swallows us. The sun fades to a dim, diffuse glow. We're floating down through layers of organic smog. Complex molecules formed by sunlight hitting methane high above. It is a slow, hazy twilight. The wind whistles against our hull, a lonely, hollow sound in the thick air. The touchdown. We land softly. The gravity here is weak, about the same as the moon. but the air is heavy. If you had wings strapped to your arms, you could flap them and fly here like a bird. We step out onto the surface. It is dark. It is noon, but it looks like deep twilight on Earth. The sky is a uniform, heavy tangerine color. There are no stars. Saturn is hidden behind the haze. We are alone in the orange gloom. The alien Earth. At first glance, it looks terrifyingly familiar. We see hills. We see valleys. We see riverbeds winding through the Persian landscape. We see serpents, smooth pebbles on the ground. It looks like a desert on Earth. But if you touch a rock, it burns. The temperature is 179 degrees Celsius. The rocks are not stone. They are bedrock ice, frozen so hard it is tougher than granite. The sand is not silica. It is dark, organic grains that have fallen from the sky like coffee grounds. The methane rain. Then a drop falls, and another. It is raining on Titan, but this is not water. It is liquid methane, natural gas. On Earth, this is a fuel we burn. Here, it is the liquid of life. It falls slowly because of the low gravity. Big, fat, slow drops drifting down from the methane clouds. They hit the dark soil without a splash. The ground is damp and squishy, like wet clay or snow slush. The rivers of fuel. The rain gathers. It flows downhill. It forms streams, then rushing rivers. These rivers carve canyons through the ice mountains, just like the Colorado River carves rock. We stand on the bank of a dark, silent river. The liquid is clear, like gasoline. It flows smoothly, without the bubbling and foaming of water. It is moving toward the North Pole, the silent seas. We follow the river to its destination. The Legea Mare, the Kraken Mar. These are not puddles. They are seas. Giant bodies of liquid methane, larger than Lake Superior. The surface is uncannily smooth. Because the liquid is light and the gravity is low, the waves are small and sluggish. It is a mirror of black glass stretching to the horizon, reflecting the eternal orange sky. The shoreline. We stand on the shore. The sand is made of ice crystals. We look out over the alien ocean. There is no smell of salt. There is only the faint, chemical scent of hydrocarbons. It is a silent, cold, toxic paradise. It mimics Earth in every way. Clouds, rain, rivers, lakes. But the chemistry is completely wrong. It is Earth's strange, frozen twin. The magic island. Sometimes bright spots appear on the sonar maps of these lakes, then vanish days later. Astronomers call them magic islands. We don't know what they are. Maybe they are giant bubbles of nitrogen rising from the depths and popping on the surface. Maybe they are floating rafts of ice. Titan is an active world. It changes. It breathes. The possibility. Could something live here? Not life like us. We are made of water. We would freeze solid in seconds. But perhaps, swimming in those methane lakes, there are cells with membranes made of oil, creatures that breathe hydrogen and eat acetylene, life that sees 179 degrees as a warm summer day. We don't know. The opaque surface keeps its secrets well. The long season. A year on Titan is 29 Earth years. Each season lasts 7 years. Right now, winter is ending in the north. The rains are shifting. The slow, heavy cycle of the seasons churns on, indifferent to the cold. Leaving the haze, we lift off. We climb back through the thick orange smog, back through the tholin layers, until we break out into the clear black of space. The sun strikes our face again. We look back at the orange ball. It sits there silent and shrouded, guarding the strangest landscapes in the solar system. Transition. We have one final stop. We return to the king itself, to the very top of the world. We are going to the North Pole of Saturn to see a storm that defies geometry. We are going to the hexagon. We leave the orange smog of Titan. We fly back toward the parent planet. We have seen the rings, the shepherd moons, and the ice volcanoes. But Saturn has one final mystery waiting for us. It is hidden at the very top of the world. We fly over the golden bands of clouds, heading north. As we approach the pole, the bands stop being circles. They begin to bend. They straighten out. We look down, and we see something impossible. The impossible shape. In nature, things are usually round. Planets are round. Eyes are round. Hurricanes are round. But here, at the North Pole of Saturn, the clouds form a perfect, sharp-edged hexagon. A six-sided polygon. It looks artificial. It looks like a giant nut, waiting for a cosmic wrench. But it is entirely natural. It is a structure made of wind and cloud, holding its shape while spinning at hundreds of kilometers per hour. The scale of the storm. It is hard to grasp the size of this thing. The hexagon is 30,000 kilometers wide. You could fit 2 Earths inside it, with room to spare. The straight lines that make up its sides are longer than the Great Wall of China. It is a storm system on a scale that defies logic. It is a monument of geometry built on a gas giant. The jet stream. The hexagon is actually a jet stream, a river of air moving at 300 kilometers per hour. It acts like a barrier. Inside the hexagon, The air is distinct from the outside. It traps haze particles, creating a sharp contrast in color. The 6 corners rotate around the pole at the exact same speed as the planet's magnetic field. It is locked in place. It is the beating heart of the North, the eye of the beast. Right in the center of the hexagon sits the North Polar Vortex. It is a hurricane, but a hurricane unlike any on Earth. It is 50 times larger than an average earthly storm. The eye is a deep, dark hole leading down into the depths of the planet. Around it, the clouds swirl in a tight, angry red circle. It looks like a giant rose, painted in blood and gold, spinning silently in the center of the geometry. The color shift. The hexagon changes with the seasons. When the Cassini spacecraft first arrived, it was blue, a cold, icy azure. It was winter in the north. But as the long Saturnian summer approached, the sunlight reacted with the haze. The hexagon slowly turned from blue to a brilliant, deep gold. It is a mood ring the size of a planet, shifting colors over the decades. Standing waves. How does a fluid form a straight line? Scientists think this is a standing wave. Imagine vibrating a string until it forms a pattern. The atmosphere of Saturn is vibrating. The winds are flowing at just the right speed, hitting just the right resonance to create this stable 6-sided wave. It is physics showing off. It is chaos finding a perfect mathematical order. The sound of the wind. If you could hear the wind here, it would be a scream. But from our vantage point in space, it is silent. We watch the clouds race around the corners. They hit the sharp turns and bank hard, following the invisible walls of the jet stream. It is a mesmerizing, repetitive motion, a perpetual motion machine made of gas. The loneliness of the pole. There is a profound loneliness here. This storm has been churning for centuries, perhaps millennia. It spins in the dark during the long polar winter. It spins in the light during the summer. It is indifferent to the rest of the solar system. It is a crown that the planet wears for itself, unseen by anyone until we sent a robot to look. The deep mystery. We still don't fully understand it. We can replicate it in computers. But seeing it in reality feels like seeing a glitch in the simulation. It reminds us that the universe is stranger than we can imagine, that the laws of fluid dynamics can create art. Preparing for the end. We have seen it all. The gold, the ice, the moons, the storms. Our fuel is running low. Our journey is coming to an end. We cannot go back home. There is only one way left to go. Down. In the final chapter, we will follow the path of the Cassini spacecraft. We will dive into the atmosphere and become part of the planet forever. We turn our ship away from the North Pole. We point the nose down, directly at the golden clouds. We are about to do something that was once thought impossible. We are going to thread the needle. We are going to fly through the narrow gap between the planet and its rings. It is a space of silence between the atmosphere and the ice. We drift closer. The rings tower above us like a ceiling of diamonds. The planet stretches below us like a floor of gold. We are alone in the gap, the final descent. Gravity takes hold. We are falling. The speed is immense, over 100,000 kilometers per hour. But in the vacuum of space, there is no wind to feel. There is only the visual sensation of the planet rushing up to meet us. The bands of yellow and beige expand until they fill the entire window. We can see the texture of the clouds. We can see the swirling eddies of the storms. We are getting closer than anyone has ever been. Touching the sky. We hit the upper atmosphere. It starts as a whisper. A thin haze of hydrogen gas brushes against the hull. The silence of space is broken by a low, soft hum. The friction begins to build. The ship begins to glow. We are becoming a meteor. We are streaking across the Saturnian sky. A tiny spark of metal against the vastness of the clouds. The breakup. The heat rises. The structural integrity fails. But do not think of this as destruction. Think of it as a release. The ship breaks apart into its component atoms. The aluminum, the copper, the plastic, the silicon. It all vaporizes. It melts into the atmosphere. The man-made materials mix with the primordial hydrogen of the planet. We are no longer an observer separate from Saturn. We are becoming Saturn. The merge. The atoms drift down. They are caught in the high-speed winds. They are carried around the planet, stretching out into a thin ribbon of material. Within weeks, the particles of our ship will be distributed across the entire globe. We have become a permanent part of the weather. We are part of the storms. We are part of the golden haze. We have merged with the giant, the ghost of Cassini. We are not the first to do this. The Cassini probe is already here. Its atoms are floating in these clouds right now. It is a peaceful graveyard. There is no ground to hit, no crash, just an endless, slow descent into the crushing dark of the deep atmosphere. Down there, the hydrogen becomes metallic. It becomes liquid. It is a place of intense pressure and heat, hidden forever from the universe. The legacy. Saturn will keep our secrets. It will keep the atoms of our explorers for billions of years, long after the rings have rained away, long after the sun has expanded and swallowed the inner planets, the traces of our visit will still be circulating in the winds of this gas giant. We have left a mark, a tiny silent fingerprint on the king of planets, returning to Earth. Now, pull your mind back from the deep clouds. Pull back from the ring system. Pull back from the outer solar system. Travel faster than light, back past Jupiter, back past Mars. See the blue marble of Earth growing in the window. Descend through the blue sky. Find your continent, your city, your room. The safety of gravity. Feel the bed beneath you. That is Earth's gravity. It is not crushing you. It is holding you. It is anchoring you so you don't float away. You are safe here. You are solid. You are not vaporizing in a golden cloud. You are resting in a quiet room. The journey is done. The data is collected. The mission is complete. The golden dream. Let the image of the golden planet linger in your mind. A giant silent sphere spinning in the dark. The rings turning slowly, glittering like dust. The moons sleeping in their orbits. It is all moving in perfect clockwork order. You don't need to watch it anymore. It will keep spinning without you. Shut down. The systems are powering down. The lights are dimming. The silence is returning. Let go of the orbit. Let go of the weight. Drift. Good night. Sleep well, traveler. Saturn watches over the dark. Good night.